Hello.
Hello. Today we have a video, might be controversial. It's all 50 countries in Europe ranked from worst to best. So it's gonna piss off a lot of people, and I think the guy that made the video is probably American, as a lot of these videos. I'm not sure if you're not American and you're watching, sorry about that. We have never been to Europe, so we're gonna spread all of our stereotype in this video. Canadian stereotype, Thai stereotype. Leave a subscribe, we're gonna be honest, yes.
I'm Suji from Thailand.
Yes, we live in Thailand countryside with our 13 dogs.
The U.S. has...
We are dog rescuer, by the way, if you didn't know. We rescue dogs for a living.
For
basically. No, we do YouTube, but we rescue a lot of dogs.
50 states, and Europe has 50 countries. So let's put them to the test and rank them worst to best, based on their economy, safety, cost of living, freedom, and quality of life.
Okay.
Vámonos, allons-y, das uns gehen, and let's go.
What are you talking about?
Number 50. Vatican City. At 1/5 the size of Central Park,
Come on.
Vatican City is the smallest nation on Earth, with its entire area located
This
within
guy's
the city
so
of
loud.
Rome. And it's obviously last, because if you're not part of the Vatican staff, Swiss Guard, or a Catholic priest or nun, you're not even allowed to live here. But why would you? It's overcrowded, a complete monarchy, and its status as a country is mostly just an excuse to not pay taxes.
So this is it's landlocked within Italy, right? My question is, why is it a country? Is this just because of the Pope lived there? Is that it? Is that the only reason?
Complete monarchy,
why is it
and its
worse?
status as a country is mostly
Because
just
you
an
cannot live there,
excuse
that's
to
what
not
you
pay
do.
taxes.
Like, and it's swarmed by tourists, right? That's what he just said. Like, you there's nothing to do and
It's
swarmed
not
by
about
tourists.
economy or anything, right?
Well, it's about, it's a joke at the same time, you know.
Number
making a joke,
49,
but-
Ukraine. Ukraine is the second largest country in Europe and also home to its second most corrupt government. So despite its beautiful people, landscapes, and history, it's Europe's poorest nation with a GDP per capita lower than Iraq at $5,200. The current conflict with Russia has also made many parts of the country not safe, with more than 10,000
Yeah, but if you remove that conflict, I would not think that Ukraine was going to be that low. It's gorgeous. Every time that I look video on Ukraine and the people and everything, I would never put that as 49.
Ukrainian civilians being killed in less
Of course,
than
with what's
2
happening,
years.
maybe it makes sense, but...
Number 48, Belarus. Don't get cocky, Belarus. The only reason you're not dead last is because there's a literal war going on between your neighbors.
Fair.
Considered Europe's last true dictatorship, Belarus's president has been in power for 30 years and routinely invents laws that serve him. Not only is there an extreme lack of
Wait,
human rights,
He's really using it best, because I saw the video, Bald and Bankrupt. He's a YouTuber. He makes video in Belarus, and he showed the effect of like a post-Soviet Union, post-collapse, 1991, around like that.
where
So
you'll be
dirty
arrested and perhaps tortured for peacefully protesting or
it's so
criticizing
depressing.
his government. You
And
can
a
actually be
dictatorship
arrested
also.
for speaking Belarusian. Yeah,
Oh,
Russian's
really?
the official language here. Number 47, Moldova. Moldova is Europe's
Moldova.
least visited nation, and also its least developed, with the lowest life expectancy, second lowest
Damn.
GDP per capita, and hardly any infrastructure
all
existing
countries that have
outside the
suffered
capital,
from the
Chisinau,
Soviet
which is
Union
often ranked
collapse.
as Europe's ugliest, most boring capital. Throw in a corrupt government and high levels of organized crime, and Moldovans are the least happy people on earth. No, like literally. When pollsters ask, are you happy? More than half of Moldovans say no.
This is difficult.
Number 46, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Bosnia and Herzegovina has been through a lot. After the breakup of
Yeah,
Yugoslavia in
the war
1991,
and-
over 100,000 Bosnians
Wow.
were murdered and
Yeah.
2 million displaced during the ensuing Yugoslav and Bosnian wars. And many ripples are still felt today. With the worst pollution in Europe, hundreds of completely destroyed buildings, and extreme poverty and PTSD among its residents. Now, those were the 5 worst countries in Europe, and before we get to the other 45, leave a like and subscribe. If we hit 10,000 likes, I'll rank every country in Asia too. And I also wanted to give an honorable mention to Kosovo, which Serbia claims. Its sovereignty
Kosovo.
is recognized by over half of all UN nations, however.
I don't know
so
enough
if you
to comment
consider
on
it a
this,
country,
so-
it'd be right here on the list. Kosovo would be Europe's second poorest nation, with a terrible economy and the highest unemployment rate at 20.6%. But since Kosovars receive a lot of money from displaced family members living in wealthier nations, the quality of life isn't terrible, and average life expectancy
constantly
is
on-
nearly 80.
Is it like Palestine
Number
when you're in the
45,
threat of violence, or
Azerbaijan.
it's safe? pretty
Wait a
safe?
second, isn't
Azerbaijan
in Asia? Well, most of it is, but 7,000 square kilometers
Yes,
of it
that's what I
is
think about.
technically in Europe. In fact, only 43 nations lie entirely within Europe's borders. But most organizations count
some of them
50
are in both
European
Asia and
nations,
Europe,
and
right?
scientifically speaking, Europe isn't even a real continent, but rather a part of Eurasia. So its
Okay.
boundaries are mostly just political.
I know
And
nothing about
speaking of
Azerbaijan,
political,
but it
although
looks-
Azerbaijan
looks
has
pretty.
the most secular government amongst
Yeah,
majority Muslim nations,
Like,
it's still egregiously
rich of history.
authoritarian.
Oh, yeah.
Elections are not free or fair. Political opponents are often imprisoned, and the president and his father have had complete control of the country for 30 years.
No different than
but
Thailand.
due to its vast oil
That one I
reserves,
have no
the
comment.
economy is
Yes.
decent. Number 44. Armenia. Geographically
Armenia.
speaking, all of Armenia lies in
Wow.
Asia. Geopolitically and culturally, however,
okay.
it's very European and part of most European groups such as the Council of Europe. But Europe or not, 26.5% of Armenians live in poverty. Because despite the
Oh.
political system being more democratic than Azerbaijan's, it's still incredibly corrupt, leading to little economic opportunity.
Now, sorry for pausing, but poverty is relative, right? For example, in the Thailand countryside, a lot of people, they have their house, they're gonna open their barber shop in front of their house, and they're gonna make like $300 a month, but they don't need to pay rent. They have a motorbike already paid off, so they just need to pay for the food or their food basically and a little bit of like activities. So I think it's relative to your cost of living. We survive here in Thailand on less than 2,000 USD a month, us. And if we had no like debt and car payment, we would survive on less than 1,500 USD a month. And we could even make it in 1,000 if we didn't have a 13 dog to take care of.
Yeah.
So it's really relative. And our house is like, we pay $100 per month. And
Yeah.
it's quite big, so...
Combined with the nation's near constant conflict with Azerbaijan over the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh territory, has resulted in the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Armenians. Number 43, North Macedonia. After countless controversies with Greece regarding the name Macedonia and its former excessively long name, former Yugoslavic Republic of Macedonia,
It's all
the
east of
nation
Europe
was
so far.
officially renamed North
southeast.
Macedonia in 2019. But unlike the vast Macedonian empire Alexander the Great once led, the only thing North Macedonia
Okay, what do you want to say about Alexander the Great?
Actually, I think he really nice. He not really racist. He accept everyone.
Okay, amazing. That's the first thing that came to our mind.
leading the continent in is unemployment. Number 42, Albania. While it's likely the most beautiful European nation
Wow.
that you know nothing about, Albania is not a great place to live. But considering their tragic history, it's a miracle Albania
Wait,
is
I wanna
recovered at
go.
all. After being under one of the most impoverishing communist regimes for half a century, with the former lunatic dictator using the nation's money to build nearly 200,000 bunkers for an invasion that never came,
Oh
the
my
new democratically
God.
elected government in 1992 proceeded to lure 2/3 of the population into a government-backed pyramid scheme, which obviously failed, bankrupting the majority of Albanians and resulting in the 1997 Civil War. Number 41, Georgia. Georgia is Europe's most homophobic nation, with 84% of residents saying same-sex relations between adults is always wrong. And this stubborn mentality opposing progress translates to all aspects of life.
I feel like this guy is trying to find the worst thing about this country. Like, he doesn't talk about it. He only try to find the worst thing, and he name it, and he say, oh, that's why it's like 40 something. Because I watch people from Russia going to Georgia after the war. They decided to just leave their country and go to Georgia because they accepted them. And Georgia looks so gorgeous, like amazingly beautiful.
And I can go without visa.
Yeah, Suji doesn't need a visa. I don't think we need a visa to go there. Even
Wages have
it's
remained
an easy
low,
country to go.
healthcare and education remains poor, and
cheap-
its cities are among
Yeah.
the most polluted on Earth, resulting in a life expectancy that's lower than Syria. Number 40, Russia. Let's just get this out of the way. Russia has extremely limited personal freedoms. There's no right to peaceful assembly, and public opposition to the war with Ukraine, or even calling it a war, is considered
Yeah,
a crime.
I really felt
But
like
for
this
all
guy
its
is
issues,
exaggerating
including
a
being
little
Europe's
bit.
most corrupt and dangerous nation, it's cheap, and the economy and infrastructure, especially in Moscow and St. Petersburg, is very advanced, with the world's 6th highest GDP at purchasing power parity.
Wow.
Number 39. Serbia. Belgrade, the former capital of
Almost
communist
Novak
Yugoslavia,
Djokovic.
is now Serbia's capital and a party capital, with the Lonely Planet
Also very
ranking
easy
it
to
the
go
number
without a
one
visa
party
for
city in
us.
2023.
Very easy to go there.
In this
For you
city
or
of
for me?
extremes,
Both of
with
us,
its
it's easy.
beautiful historic
Yeah.
center and flashy business-oriented New Belgrade, sitting next to destitute districts without proper sewage, represents the nation at large. If you have money, it's great. If you don't, it's not. Most people don't. Number
That's the same for every country, by the way. If you don't have money, it sucks.
38. Bulgaria. Bulgaria is one of the most fascinating countries. It's the only Slavic state to never join Yugoslavia. The Cyrillic alphabet was invented here, and it's home to the most archaeological sites in Europe other than Greece and Italy. But it's also full of contradiction. While its merit-based schools are remarkable, the majority of schools suck. While its 59-week paid maternity leave is the highest in Europe, so is the mortality rate. And while the GDP per capita isn't terrible, 23% of the nation still lives in poverty. Number 37. Montenegro.
Again, define
4 or 5
poverty.
seconds
It's
ago,
important.
most of you had never heard of
Montenegro!
Montenegro. And even now,
Montenegro.
some of you are probably questioning, wait, does Montenegro exist? But although this unknown nation of 600,000 really tall people is the least corrupt in the Balkans, which is a big reason why it's the
Why every time I watch the movie, when you want to go for like the yacht, the boat thing, they always go there.
The boat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when you want to hang out with a big group, in the movie.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe.
EU member closest to joining. It's also tiny with low wages and taxes, resulting in severely underfunded social programs. But hey, at least Montenegro owns
Not a
the
lot of
domain
taxes.
.me, which actually pays the nation
Maybe it's a
$350
tax
million
haven? I don't
a
know.
year. Number 36. Kazakhstan. Apart from being very nice, almost
Europe?
nothing in Borat
never
about
know that.
glorious nation
No,
of
it's in Asia,
Kazakhstan
right?
was
Or
true.
most of
But
it is in
despite
Asia.
hardly exporting any potassium, Kazakhstan is the greatest exporter of uranium, which, combined with the planet's 12th largest oil and gas reserves, have
Almost
led to a stable,
demasculated again.
growing economy and highly developed cities and transportation.
Wow. that
Number
look good.
35. Turkey. Turkey's most populous city,
35?
Istanbul, straddles the border between Europe and Asia and has been one of the most
I mean, it's
important
gorgeous, but
cultural
you're gonna say
centers
it's
for
corrupt,
nearly
right?
2 millennia. But while it and the European portion of Turkey is wealthy, accounting for 30% of the nation's GDP despite covering just 3% of its landmass, most of Asian Turkey is extremely impoverished.
Okay.
Number 34, Hungary. Hungary receives one of the largest amounts of EU development funds. But since its government is by far the most corrupt in the EU, most of it is
Wow.
funneled to the Prime Minister's family and friends rather than used to improve the nation's infrastructure or economy. Add on the world's highest
I
value-added
mean,
tax
it's funny
at
how we
27%.
talk about this, but our Canadian government is corrupt. Thai government is corrupt. U.S. government is corrupt. It's really rare to find a nation that don't have corrupt politic. So I feel like it's a little bit disingenuous
And the
because
result
it's like
is the
every
worst
country have corrupt
inflation in
government
Europe,
if we're
with the
honest.
nation's currency being devalued by 20% each year. No wonder Hungary has the most porn stars per capita.
Really?
OnlyFans really do be saving lives.
I never know that.
Do you know how much the OnlyFans model make? Oh my god, if I was a woman, I would be an OnlyFans model.
I have only fan.
Yeah, she has never used it, but Fuji said that she as a joke, but if she want to do it, she can do it. But
Porn stars per capita. OnlyFans really do be saving lives. Number 33. Romania. While Hungary is the prime
Romania.
example of a nation's quality of life suffering due to corrupt governance, Romania is the opposite, being the poster child for how quickly a nation can turn things around.
Okay.
One of the poorest countries with a poverty rate of 42% when admitted into the EU in 2006. Romania has had Europe's fastest growing economy ever since, with its GDP growing by 650% over the past 20 years, cutting the poverty rate to just 10% today. Oh, and Dracula lived
wow,
Yes, I know
Number 32,
this.
Latvia.
Latvia.
Latvia houses more women than any other nation and has prospered greatly since the breakup of the USSR. But it's still the poorest and most corrupt of the 3 Baltic nations, with the second worst inflation and roads in Europe. Number 31. Slovakia. No, not
Slovakia.
Slovenia. That's in the Balkans. And not Souvlaki. That's Greek. And delicious. But while few of you can pronounce the former half of Czechoslovakia properly, and even fewer
Wow,
of you
it's
can locate it on a
gorgeous.
map, Slovakia has quietly been improving its quality of life. In large part due to producing the most cars per capita.
Whoa.
It's also incredibly safe, education and healthcare is reliable and free, and its capital, Bratislava, even has a UFO. Number 30. Croatia. Ever since joining the EU in 2013, and people learning that much of Game of Thrones was filmed in Croatia,
I'm surprised-
tourism numbers have skyrocketed.
I'm surprised that it's
doubling
that
from
low because Croatia, there's a lot of like a group tour, boat tour.
Yeah.
They are by the river. Everyone can go by that Croatia to
Yeah.
go to another destination. It's so well located.
2014 to 19. But
And
this,
so much
in addition to the
beautiful
recent
things.
adoption of the euro, has also led to prices rising. with the average cost of goods now being more expensive than Western Europe, despite salaries being much lower.
Okay.
Number 29. Lithuania. If I lived in Lithuania, this video would have been uploaded at least 8 minutes sooner because it has the fastest internet on Earth.
Whoa.
Which is a testament to how far this small Baltic nation has come since they facilitated the breakup of the Soviet Union. But although the economy has evolved greatly, many Lithuanians' worldviews have not, with most of the older generation being judgmental about anyone who expresses themselves.
But it's true.
Number 28.
The old people
Greece.
everywhere,
Compared to
basically.
the Balkans, Greece is wealthy.
Jeez.
Compared to the EU, Greece is poor. And compared to musicals, Greece is the worst.
I'm shocked that Greece is that, like, high. I thought it would be like 40 because didn't Greece collapse like 15 years ago?
Yeah,
Like,
I have heard about
completely
that.
collapsed?
After
Language
the
and scenery are
Olympic.
beautiful. The food is mouth-watering and healthy, and its people are wonderfully warm and welcoming despite their corrupt government and struggling economy.
Maybe they rebuilt quite well.
Number 27, Andorra. Skiing and duty-free
Andorra.
shopping are the only reasons anyone ever thinks of this cheap 468 square kilometer
there's not a
nation.
lot of people over there.
But you could also just go to Oregon for that, where there's
What?
better beer and legal weed. Number 26,
weed.
San Marino.
have-
Andorra seems massive compared to this tiny 61 square kilometer
The only thing I know about San
which is
Marino is
located
the-
entirely within Italy
Formula One
and relies on
race.
it for 80% of its economy. But San Marino is also the oldest continuous
it's so
country
pretty.
and exceptionally wealthy, with no
Wait.
national debt and the 7th highest
What?
GDP per capita.
I think some of them in
Number
the movie,
25.
in the TV show
Poland.
before.
Yeah.
Poland is the geographic center of Europe, and also the center of this list, because overall, it's pretty much the most average European nation. Well, aside from the fact that the godly delicatessen known as the bagel was invented here. Number 24, Italy. Italy is a tale of
Wow,
two
it's-
nations.
I thought it would be
While the
higher,
northern
like
part is very
top
rich and
50.
developed with a quality of life similar to top 10 countries, the south is really struggling, with less than half the north's GDP per capita and more than triple its poverty rate. Not to mention, it's got a real trash problem, with Rome being named Europe's filthiest city.
Whoa.
Number 23, Malta. After having been colonized by 10 different empires over the last
Another,
2,700 years, Malta
heaven,
finally
right?
gained independence in 1964.
And they have
ever
a lot of
since,
casino
it's
there,
cemented
too.
itself as
Why
a
they not a
tourist
lot of
haven due
trees?
to its year-round warm climate, awe-inspiring historic sites, and world-class
climate, I
beaches.
guess?
Not to mention, it's also become the iGaming capital of the world, which has resulted in high wages and Europe's third lowest unemployment rate. And despite being Europe's most
burger today.
Catholic nation, Malta is also the most LGBTQ friendly nation. Number 22, Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein is so small and irrelevant that even its neighbor, Switzerland, often forgets it exists, having accidentally invaded the nation 5 times. And up until a decade ago, you could actually rent the entire country for just 70 grand a night. But despite nothing noteworthy ever having happened here, Liechtenstein enjoys the world's 2nd highest GDP per capita and 3rd highest life
It's
expectancy.
basically 22 because it's boring.
Number 21.
That's what he's saying.
Monaco.
Yeah.
Monaco's population
That's
is similar to
unfair.
Liechtenstein's, yet it's 80 times smaller at a mere 2 square kilometers,
Wow.
making it the most densely populated
Wait,
nation.
this is the
But while even
richest.
Liechtenstein doesn't take itself seriously, Monaco is the most try-hard country. It houses the most millionaires and billionaires per capita,
Tax
the
haven again,
highest
I guess?
GDP per capita, and a human development index over 1, which
Wow.
shouldn't be possible. Why? Because there's no income tax. So wealthy people from all over the world move here to flaunt their yachts and supercars. Number 20, Estonia. Estonia's capital, Tallinn, is less than a 3-hour
Damn,
ferry
I
ride
didn't
from
know
Finland's capital,
Estonia gonna be at
Helsinki.
this
And while it
number.
may seem amusing
I know
that
nothing
countless
about
Finnish
Estonia.
tourists ride this ferry simply to buy cheap booze, it underscores why Estonia is the most affluent Baltic nation. Trade and investment from Finland and Sweden. Estonia has
yeah,
also
okay.
mimicked many of the Nordic nations' best traits, prioritizing education, safety, and innovation, with it now being the most digitally advanced nation in the world.
Wow.
Number 19,
That right.
Portugal. You may have heard
Portugal.
of Portugal being a top expat destination due to it offering all the food, beaches, history,
Yeah, it
and
does a
culture
mix
of
of
most
everything.
Western European destinations, while being a fraction of the cost. But since local wages aren't great, this has also created Europe's worst housing crisis, with home prices rising 157% from 2020
That's a problem
to 21.
everywhere, even in Canada. It's
Number
crazy.
18, Cyprus.
Oh,
Cyprus has
yeah.
more billionaires
It's
per
another country that's
capita
easy to
than
go
any
also.
non-microstate nation. Mainly
Cyprus.
due to its great weather and friendly tax structure, incentivizing foreign tech companies to set up shop here. The island is a hub for Forex, fintech, iGaming, and crypto. Not to mention the center of the online porn industry. But it's not just the wealthy who prosper. Average wages are similar to Western Europe, and the healthcare is among the best in the world. Number 17, Spain. Spain might have the best work-life balance of any nation.
Should be fine.
17, Spain. Spain might have the best work-life balance of any nation. Not only are 30 paid vacation days and 14 paid public holidays required by law, many companies even close for 2 to 3 hours during the day for siesta. But while there's splendid
stop
weather,
for what?
companies even close for 2 to 3 hours during the day for siesta. But while there's splendid weather, scenery, history, and culture, in addition to some of the best food and drink
Really?
on Earth, it's not all sunshine and wine. The 12.7 unemployment rate is the highest in the EU, and the cities have Western European prices with Central European salaries.
Oh my god.
Number 16, France. When polled on who the most arrogant Europeans are, the French chose themselves.
Bonjour, les
because
amis.
they have everything most people could ever dream of, and they know it. The cuisine is out of this
Je suis
world.
Canadien
The arts
français.
and culture
Je viens
are
de Montréal.
unmatched, and the laid-back lifestyle emphasizes life over work. But that doesn't mean the French are lazy. They produce the world's 7th largest economy, and their healthcare, education, and public transit are all outstanding. Number 15, Czech Republic. Czechs are the best at drinking beer. Literally, the average Czech drinks 520 beers a year, which is nearly double the next country. But that's not
That's
the
more than
only
one
thing
per day on
Czechs
average.
excel at. The Czech Republic is home
person.
to the lowest unemployment, poverty, and homicide rates in Europe,
Whoa.
as well as one of the fastest growing economies. Number 14, Slovenia. If it weren't for Luka Doncic, most people would have no idea where or what Slovenia
That's
is.
true.
And that's a shame because in contrast to most former Yugoslavic republics, Slovenia has had some of the best economic developments on the continent,
Yeah.
with the GDP per capita tripling in the last 20 years. Plus, 1 in every 20 Slovenians is a beekeeper because 1, Slovenians love honey, and 2, they prefer to shop local, which is
Wow,
a huge reason
5%
why
of people
Slovenia
are
has the world's
beekeeper.
lowest income inequality. Number 13, United Kingdom. The UK's damp, cold, gloomy weather is a metaphor for the nation's current sentiment.
Damn, the UK is
Depressing.
not top 10.
The
It's
average
kind of
quality of
depressing
life has
if you think
steadily
about it.
decreased
Me
since
too.
Brexit, and the economy has been in stagnation for far longer.
stagnated.
But the UK is still the world's 6th largest economy, and the free public healthcare and education is excellent. Number 12. Luxembourg. Sure, it's boring, but stats don't lie, and neither does the highest GDP per capita on Earth. But Luxembourg is also
going there.
outrageously expensive.
Yeah, but it's expensive.
Number
That's the
11.
point.
What to
Belgium.
work?
Home to the
I'm not gonna
EU's
eat.
capital
Belgium.
and bordered by the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Germany, and France. Belgium is a mix of the best parts of those nations, crunched into a smaller,
A fake
more urbanized
Eiffel Tower.
version. Well, maybe not exactly smaller, because Belgium has a province called Luxembourg, and that alone is 71% larger than Luxembourg. But similar to Luxembourg, Belgians are incredibly wealthy. Nearly 3/4 of the population owns their own home, and the median wealth per adult is the 3rd highest in the world. Number 10, Austria. From schools to healthcare, the economy to safety, and everything
Wow,
in between.
Austria,
is
top
among
10.
the top 15 nations in literally every category, including the most paid time off. Plus, it's jaw-droppingly beautiful, and Vienna is often ranked as the best city on Earth.
Did you notice? All the countries that are doing well right now are countries where you give benefit to the population and you try to give them a good life. A lot of other countries, like in Canada, they should learn from this, you know?
Number
Give
9,
people-
the Netherlands.
like-
While many argue that Monaco, the Vatican, and other microstates shouldn't exist, the Netherlands literally shouldn't exist. 26% of its area is located below sea level. But the Dutch's ingenuity and resourcefulness of building dikes, pumps, and canals which allow 50% of its population to live below sea level has also translated to its economy,
lot of
with the
bicycles.
Netherlands
Oh my
having the
God.
3rd highest after-tax net income of any nation. Number 8, Germany. Germany is the economic powerhouse of Europe, having just surpassed Japan to become the 3rd largest economy, all while Germans work less hours than any
Wow,
other
the
nation.
castle.
How? Well, they're highly educated, and because they don't work as much, Germans are much more productive in the time they do work, since they know they'll have plenty of time to socialize and
Again.
enjoy life after.
More
Number
countries should
7,
do that.
Sweden. Sweden
less.
is perhaps the perfect balance between capitalism and socialism, with the Scandinavian nation being home to one of the best economies due to low corporate taxes and plenty of innovative companies, while also having an incredibly strong social safety net. Heck, the government even allows Swedes to take 6 months off in order to start their own business, with a guarantee they can return to their job if their idea flops.
Whoa.
Number 6, Finland. Less than 6 hours of daylight and brutally
I'm starting to
cold
get very
winters
jealous.
might seem depressing, but Finland has actually been the happiest nation for 8 years running, which goes to show how much a non-corrupt government that cares about its residents can increase a nation's quality of life. Because with the world's best schooling system and parental leave policy, the cleanest air and water quality, and highest level of food security, Finns have little to stress about. Number 5. Switzerland. Nothing in life is free. And there's a reason Switzerland is ridiculously safe with the world's best public transportation, healthcare, and after-tax net income. Because it's also the most expensive nation. But boy, is it beautiful. Number 4. Denmark. Denmark may not have the best museums, food, or natural scenery. But when it comes to the essentials, such as good paying jobs, cleanliness, safety, and great quality affordable healthcare, education, and housing, few nations do it better than the Danes. Number 3, Ireland. Ireland has the highest PPP GDP per capita.
I don't know when he's going to the ISPPPP, but I'm surprised that it's in the top 3. I would never have guessed. I never think of Ireland. When
I even forgot.
They exist.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of people will be mad at you.
Oh, don't be mad at me, please.
$145,000.
Especially when you see that the UK is like 12.
Yeah.
And Ireland is on the west. It's
full 65% higher than Switzerland, the second wealthiest non-microstate. But despite its already exceptional economy, it's also the fastest growing, with a 9.4% annual GDP growth rate. How do the Irish keep finding massive pots of gold? Well, it's home to Europe's most educated working class and corporate-friendly tax laws, resulting in nearly every large US company placing their EU headquarters here. Number 2, Norway.
His argument, though, was a bit weird. He did not talk about what they give to the population. He just said that the economy is doing well, but that doesn't tell us if the people are living paycheck to paycheck or not. It seemed to be a country where you can create a lot of wealth, but people say that about America too, and look at America, so...
Placing their EU headquarters here. Number 2, Norway. Norway is a hypocrite. It's one of the cleanest, greenest nations, with 97% of its trash being recycled, 99% of its energy coming from renewable sources, and more electric cars per capita than any other nation. Yet, a big reason why it has the world's third highest nominal GDP per capita is due to it being one of the biggest exporters of oil. This also pays for Norway's superb social programs, however, with 59 weeks paid family leave, a top 5 healthcare and education system, and a highly successful qualification program which pays unemployed people to learn new skills. Number 1. Iceland. Iceland is the epitome of how incredible a non-corrupt nation can function. Having been democratically run for over 1,000 years, every penny the government takes goes back to helping its residents, which is why the island leads the world in literally every statistic. From being the safest nation with the safest city, to having the best gender equality and retirement pension plan, to the lowest poverty rate and highest median wealth, with the average adult owning 413 grand in assets. And on top of that, it might be the most beautiful country. But while these were Europe's 50 nations,
our dog were getting impatient because it's their time to eat. Which country do you want to go to?
Iceland.
Really? Why? It's so cold?
Well, this is unexpected though, because every time when we make a reaction, we not really make a reaction to Iceland before.
Yeah,
then
you're
they
right.
are number 1 now.
Yeah.
And also, in my head, I always been thinking that which country had the highest pension. I thought it probably Switzerland, right? And now it's Iceland.
Oh. Any surprise on the list?
Surprise, Iceland number 1.
No other surprise?
And the UK really far.
Yeah.
This also surprised me.
Do you know what it's not surprising? Is that the countries that are in the top are all the countries that give back the most to their citizens, where actually your tax, you pay high tax, but your money go back to education, to healthcare, to pension, to maternal leave, to paternal leave, to a prison system that is not completely corrupt. And what is this?
Pumpkin.
Oh, pumpkin for our dog. One of our dog is obese, so she's on a diet.